Hi, Tim here from World of Sleuths. I know it's been a month and a half since I last did a video other than the one that I did saying I'll do my videos more in a slideshow style. During that time my health's been acting up quite a bit, but I've also gotten quite a bit of reading done during that time too. So I'll be showing you what I've finished reading, what I'm currently reading, and what I'll be reading in August, and what I've my purchases and stuff. So with that said, let me get started. First of all, I'll do the books I finished in June. The first one since that last video in June that I finished was No Good Deed by M.P. McDonald. It's part of the Mark Taylor Omnibus. It was actually the first book in the Mark Taylor series. The Mark Taylor Genesis is a prequel to it, which I had read, and and there's 2 more books in it. And I rated that 6 arrows, which translates to 5 stars. I've liked it a lot both times I've read it. This is a reread for me on this one. The next book is my least favorite so far in the Alex Cross series. That's Violets Are Blue by James Patterson, because they're going around trying to find vampires. I do not want to read books on vampires. I know it's a rave anymore, like vampires and zombies, but I've read Dracula, and so I've read vampires stuff. But I gave it a rating of 4 arrows or 3 stars. The next book, the third book I read in June since the last video. See, I had finished like 2 or 3 books before that in June. But the third book since that video I finished it, and this is still in June, is The Flaming Mountain by Harold L. Goodwin, or I'll say John Bling on the cover. It's Rick Brandt adventure. And he's always solving mysteries during them. And in this one, they go to an island. I think it's off can't remember which country it's off the coast of, but there's a volcano that had been inactive for the longest time on the island, but it's started to be active again, and they're worried that it might erupt soon, and they bring Rick Brandt and his friend Scotty and some of the scientists down to try helping to figure out around how much time they have before it erupted, and try to figure out a way to so it won't go the way that there's that the people on the island live. And but it was a pretty good story. I gave it 5 arrows, which it translates to 4 stars. Like I said, when I rate these books, I look at when it was written, who it was the general audience it was aimed towards, and all that, and that this one was the same for like boys or kids. Okay, the next book I have is my favorite my favorite book that I've read so far this year, and believe it or not, it's nonfiction. That book is My American Journey by Colin Powell. It's pretty much his autobiography. Start telling about in school and then the stuff he did and places he worked, and then going into college and it joined the Army ROTC, and that's all his career. He started out in the Army and did through his Army career, and working like at the White House and stuff also. And this was written in '95, and it's a very interesting story. He adds humor to it also. And of course, I gave that a 6 arrows, which translates to 5 stars. The next book, or the last book I finished in June, was A Poison Pen by Arthur B. Reeve. That's the second book in the Craig Kennedy series, and it's pretty much a collection of short stories also, it seems. I'm not sure if all of his books are like that or not. But some stories are better than others. I gave it a rating of 5 arrows or 4 stars. Okay, so notice that was 5 books I read in June after the 14th, or that I finished. Okay, now for July. For July, I finished 6 books. The first one I don't have a picture for. It was a library book, and I had to return it. The book is Dead Before Dying by Dion Meyer. In it, there were people being killed through it. It takes place in South Africa. This is a book for mysteries around the world. Read along for my Goodreads group, and it was an interesting story. That people were being killed around South Africa, but they couldn't see any relationship between these people or anything to relate them, but they're all being killed with like an antique gun, and so they're trying to find who's doing it and how these people are related. And so I gave that 5 arrows or 6 stars. The next book I finished is one that I started like back in April. That's Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I was too busy with March Mystery Madness treated in March with that's read along with Steve Donahue, but I tried reading it before, like a couple years ago, and I just DNF'd it. But the thing that got me wanting to read it this time is in the book First Family by David Baldacci. The antagonist is always reading Pride and Prejudice to his daughter in it. But I gave that a rating of 5 stars and 4 arrows. The next book I finished is Four Blind Mice by James Patterson. In it, there's people doing killings, like just sometimes random killings, and some killing intended people for it, and they're making it look like people that like are retired from the army, or maybe still in the army. They're making it look like these people did it, and they end up putting these people that they made it look like they ended up executing them. And there were quite a few, including a friend of Alex, his best friend, John Sampson. And so they're investigating it. It's a interesting story, and I did give it a rating of 6 arrows or 5 stars. The next one I finished, I was behind on the Alex Cross series. I read the Big Bad Wolf also. That was the next one I read, and with that one, there's first they noticed was a series of white women disappearing all of a sudden, and they could never find a trace of them after their disappearance. And later, they discovered some white men were disappearing too. And this one, Alex Cross has just started with the FBI. He had quit the Washington D.C. police force and went to work for the FBI. Well, he's still going through his newbie or new person training, and they keep pulling him off it to work on this case. And because this is taking place all over the U.S. and stuff. Okay, I gave that a rating of 6 stars, 6 arrows, which relates to 5 stars. The next one I've read is Death of a Mystery Writer by Robert Bernard. That finishes off that 4 complete mysteries that find that in the picture. And well, anyway, this one's about arrogant British mystery writer that he pretty much puts everybody off when he talks and stuff, but but his books are really well liked, and he gets poisoned at his birthday party, and they're trying to figure out who killed him. They're looking at all his 3 kids and his wife, and even some outside sources. But I gave that a rating of 5 arrows or 4 stars. Probably around the one I like the best in that book. And the last book I've read that I finished this month is The Gilded Age by Mark Twain and Charles Dudley Warner. This is Mark Twain's first novel, and it's pretty much about idealists, schemists, and swindlers after the Civil War. It takes place in a small town in Missouri, Hawkeye, Missouri, Washington, D.C., and Philadelphia mainly, and then at New York City towards the end. And sometimes it sort of had me frustrated, or not really frustrated, but I seemed lost at times during it. It's not as good as like Mark Twain or Huckleberry Finn. So I gave it a rating of 3 arrows, and with that can translate to 3 stars like the lower end. That's one of the reasons why I had the extra arrows, so I wouldn't have a 3.5 star rating for books. And so that's all the books I've finished reading. And now for what I'm currently reading. I'm decided that I'm just going to be reading 1 book at a time now. I have around everything except for the Bible. I read the Bible every day. The 1-year Bible to finish the Bible this year. And I'm still keeping up with that. There are some days where I've missed, or with my migraines, where I couldn't read, where I just had to put it off to did the next day, do the reading for 2 days. And so I haven't. You probably seen I have a bunch. Been buying James Grisham books, but I hadn't read any of them yet. I've never read any James Grisham, so I just after I finished The Gilded Age last evening, and I did start on A Time to Kill, which is the first book by James Grisham, and so that's what I'm reading right now. Next, before I do my August TBR, I'll show you the books that I purchased over the past or during that time. The first one is and all of these have been from thrift stores. The first one is by Iris Johansen. I haven't read any of her books yet. This is like the third or fourth book I have of hers I now have, which is Countdown. Okay, I've read some Jeffrey Deaver and they liked him, and so I picked up a paperback of The Vanished Man. Then when I was in looking at this books at the thrift store, one looked pretty good. It's the Marine one. It's more like a political thriller, it looks like, and it really caught my eye, so I picked that up. Next are some John Grisham books that I've picked up. The first one is a Pelican Brief. Next, The Chamber. Then Ford County Stories, which is a book of short stories that take place in Ford County, which is where Time to Kill takes place at. Next one, this is Summons. Okay, then the next book that I got is one that I've read before. It's a winner. I didn't own it at the time. I checked out from the library. It's by David Baldacci, and I'm trying to collect all of his books. I still have several to go, but I got a pretty good amount of them already, too. Next one is The Perfect Spy by John le Carré. Okay, next one is Final Flight by Stephen Kuntz. Of course, with me having I was in the Air Force for 10 years, so when it's about flying in planes, it catches my eye. Okay, next, these last three I picked up last evening at a thrift store at a Goodwill. My wife took me in there, had me on me to go with her. She was looking at clothes because they were like 59 cents or something like that on the last Tuesday of the month. Well, I looked at books and I was looking at music. I spent a lot more than my wife did there. But I got the child books there. The first one is 61 Hours, and the other one is Never Go Back. And they're in the Jack Reacher series. And the last one I picked up is a book by Vince Flynn. You've noticed I picked up plenty of books by him. The book I picked up is The Last Man. Okay, that's all the books that I've purchased. And now for my August TBR. 2 books I know for sure that I'll be reading are Fall of Man in Wilmslow by David Lagerkrantz. He's author that took over the Millennial series after Stieg Larsson died. but this is his first book. This is our book for Mysteries from Around the World read for this month, and then the other read along that we do in my group series read along. It's the next one in the James Patterson series, which is London Bridges. I might read the next book from the Craig Kennedy series by Arthur B. Reeve, called Constance Dunlap. Or I might read the last Rick Brandt book in that's in the public domain. I can't remember the name of that one now. And I've also been thinking about starting sorry about that. I've been thinking about starting Last of the Mohicans. I've never read that book. I have read I think it's The Pioneers by Daniel Defoe, but also I'm trying to read more of my physical books, because after these books I picked up last night, all my bookshelves are full. So I need to read some, and because some that are in series that I don't give a 5-star rating, I take back to the library for a library sale or to a thrift store. But with that said, this is all I have for you this time. So until next time, take it easy and keep on reading.